All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Yolanda Trotman, and welcome to the conversation where we just talk about it. Now, if you haven't done so already, make sure that you go to the Facebook page and make sure that you like us at the Conversation with Yolanda Trotman. If you haven't done so already, make sure you go to the Instagram page, the Conversation _ Pod Show. Make sure that you are following us there. Obviously, this is a very important and very near and dear to me topic. And when coming up with a topic for this particular show, I mean, the person who is our guest tonight was a no-brainer. And so what I wanted to talk about tonight and the conversation be centered around is art and the Black experience. What art really is at its core, what it means to us as African Americans in terms of making sure that we tell our story in ways that make sense. And then, of course, making sure that we are always mindful of how art is evolving in terms of not only how we tell our story, but how our story is perceived. And when I was doing more additional research, what I found was that not even just the art itself, but the lives of the artists and what they had to actually go through in order to tell our story is absolutely fascinating. I know for me, I didn't really become interested in art as far as starting to collect it until I was in college, and all of the themes were very much historical for me. I was a history major, so all of my themes were very Afrocentric, and that's what I started to collect. They were very basic prints, but then it evolved from there to starting to look at contemporary art. So our guest here tonight, I'm so excited about, came all the way from South Carolina. And if you don't know who he is, you will absolutely positively know who he is, because he absolutely will be a household name, and his story is fascinating. The fact that he's taken a tremendous leap of faith and he is now a full-time artist is incredible. We met about 3 or 4 years ago at an event, I think 100 Black Men event, I feel like. Maybe that's where it was. We exchanged information, and about 3 or 4, almost 3 years to the day later, you reached out, came to Charlotte, started off with you just giving me one of your pieces, and then I said, I really want to have something commissioned, something that's near and dear, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. But I am so excited, everyone, so sit back, relax, because at the end, we're going to do a whole art lesson, because I fancy myself to be a little baby artist, but we're going to see about that. But what we want to it all in terms of art, and of course the symbolism, because as I said, he will be a household name. So welcome to the conversation, y'all. Let's talk about it. So the Black experience, Tariq, when you think about art just in general, why does it matter?
Art really matters because it's a time in history. It's always going to be a time in history. It's going to be a part of our culture. Just as a whole, and as a universal sense, art, we as artists we're poets in a sense. So we actually paint the picture, you know. And I take it to a little bit of a deeper sense. If we didn't have art, then you wouldn't have different languages.
How so? That's fascinating.
So what I mean by that is everything far as like writing, fonts, the color of a rapper raps his lyrics, he's telling a story. Everybody tells a story in whatever art that they do.
And so what is your medium? What is it that you tend to use as far as when you create?
Well, my medium is acrylics. So I use I like to build up a lot of texture, and play with different, scenarios on canvas and things of that nature. So I could push acrylics and it dries faster. So I just like to push acrylics to the edge and really think out of the box. Always trying to take my skill to the next level in some type of way.
Simply put, why should we as Black people care about art?
We have to, man. We have to. I think that looking at in history, I went to Howard University. So when we studied Black art, we studied some of the greats. And looking back in history, some of the masters then caught some of the times that we went through. And it was a way for us to breathe. So,
Ooh, that's good. What do you mean by that?
Well, some of the pieces that I do, and when artists do pieces, they actually it has meaning. So again, with it telling that story, um, you can make the story that you want to make. So some of the pieces that I have, they have a cause behind it. So I've had many of my collectors come up and see my piece, and they break down in tears because it has a story that represents them. It has a story that says strive on. It has a story that motivates them to continue to be who they are and to continue to strive for the best. So when you look at some of those masters pieces and like during the Great Migration and things of that nature, they even now when I look at them, I mean, I can look at them for days and still love them,
Right.
because you can see the history. You can actually, without even looking at a photograph, you can see some of the things that represented us as a strong people during those times.
Right.
So it gives you strength. It just gives you it gives you strength. It gives you courage. It's just like looking at a photo in another sense, in another moment in time. So,
Excellent. So I want to talk a little bit about some of the iconic artists, the artists who paved the way. Hopefully some of them are ones that have kind of inspired you on your journey. The first one is Henry Tanner. And very few people know about him. Even taking an art class, he's not one that's taught but should be. When I was doing my research, I did not know that he was the first black artist that was internationally recognized. Born before the Civil War. He was born in 1859, lived to be 77. He did a lot of his work in the Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh area. But what is really fascinating about him is that when he came to Pennsylvania, he was the only black student in his class, obviously. His teacher took a liking to him and really started to encourage his work. And so he does a series of paintings about the story of the artist's life. But can you imagine you're now a teenager, post-war or antebellum U.S. This is now post-Civil War Reconstruction. And while it is a time historically where African Americans are making big strides in terms of politics and all of that, of course, before Jim Crow ascends on the U.S., but he ends up, as a result of that, moving to Paris.
Yeah.
And you find that story a lot with a lot of artists who can't and aren't accepted here in the States, and they end up having to go to Europe, or they end up either Europe by choice or because they have to. So a lot of his work has French influences, French landscapes, things of that nature, and he's just fantastic. Now, what I think is telling, when I was doing the research, I didn't find a lot of women until that were at least recognized, at least until either the tail end of the Harlem Renaissance or more specifically in the 1970s. What are your thoughts on that? I know I'm putting you on the spot. It's like, what?
Again, I could tell another story with my art when we get to that part, but I just think that, and we always are working to make it even for our beautiful women. So I think that it's just always been in that working force, and especially back then,
Right.
that men were always highlighted as the active duty persons. And so, I think back in that day, women were more looked on as the servant type, sad to say now,
Right. Let's
these
keep it
days
real.
is a little bit better,
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah.
Black girl magic is a very real thing, though.
When we wise up and take heed to it, but I think just back then it was just an overall mentality that the man was always in the forefront, and women were more in the shadow,
And what I found is that even with Henry being as acclaimed as he was, when he had shows, it had to be shows obviously backed by white folks. There was one thing that I read about in his autobiography, like his first major show, he didn't come out at all because he didn't want the show to not be successful because they found out, if they would have found out that he was black.
Yeah, yeah.
And that is very telling because you're still talking about the late 1800s, getting closer to the turn of the century. And there were some ebbs and flows, but a lot of people don't know how Pittsburgh and Pennsylvania really shaped the landscape. I mean, we all think about New York, we think about Harlem, we think about the Harlem Renaissance, but
Yeah.
Pennsylvania, particularly Philly and Pittsburgh, had really strong influences that most people don't know about, but we'll get to that. The other person I thought about was Jacob Lawrence. Anything come to mind with him?
My word.
Oh, yeah? How so?
He's one of the ones that I love and that I was influenced by because he pretty much he told a story of the Great Migration, and he did it in a simple form. And that's the one thing that I love about it. You know, there was a period where there was realism and everything that realism was accepted, you know, way back with Michelangelo days and stuff like that, where all that stuff was great. But then you have people that, again, like me, I like to step outside of the box.
Right.
But his work was still so compelling and strong by just the simple nature with shape, lines, and color.
Okay.
One of the things that I loved about that too was, you know, in college I was a graphic designer. I actually started out in
Really?
architecture. So that was short-lived though because
Why is that?
I was on football. Well, I was trying to go out for the football team at the time, and basically as an architect major, if a lot of you know out there who may be architect majors, we would stay overnight in the classroom drawing 4-hour drawings, 5-hour drawings. And then on top of that, when you're playing football in college, you have like film to look at. That's outside of practice. So
Right.
it's you have to do a lot. So I had to give up architecture to and kind of see where I wanted to go from there.
Right.
But, you know, God willing, it worked out to be where I am now. But yeah, that was that particular road was good because it got me to where I am today. So
And so would you consider Jacob Lawrence's work to be a major influence for you?
oh yeah. Okay. I mean, we look at some of my works. I keep it simple. It's more abstract. Some of them don't have faces, but overall, the whole composition of the piece comes together to tell a story.
What do you want people to know about him?
Jacob Lawrence, great. I mean, you just gotta go look him up. You know, I was looking at some stuff on him the other day, and just in the era that he was in with the Harlem Renaissance and being in that cultural
Right.
Atmosphere, which we're trying to get back to today as a whole. And I think because of that period and that time, there were some creatives that pretty much grasped him by the hand and inspired him to continue to create the way he did.
Gotcha.
And he was a kid at the time when he started, you
Right.
know, doing his drawings and stuff. And some of the professors and stuff was buying his work for like $5 and $10, which back then,
Wow.
you know,
Right.
you know, back then it was a lot of money, you know. So, you know, he had his first studio. He got a grant, and his rent was $8 a month. So you can only imagine if he was selling his work for $5 and $10.
Right.
I mean, you know, let's say if I got a studio now in Charlotte, downtown Charlotte, I'm probably looking at $1,000, maybe more.
Oh, my goodness.
Depends on,
Much
you know.
more than that.
So,
Yes.
I mean, if you look at the comparison from $5 to $10 for his work to his $8 rent,
Right.
like he was doing it big back then, but he was doing what he loved,
Right.
you know. And you know, he was kind of discussing how he, in a sense, loved that when his collectors bought his work, it added value to what he was doing.
Right.
You know, which we always talk about support in the black community.
Right.
And artwork, which that is like every artist, like you say, hey, how much is that piece? And they say, and I may say, you know, $1,000. $1,000, you know.
Right.
But you know, it was just all in support and having them continue to do. But now look, I mean, if you have a Jacob Lawrence in your collection, man, you
Right.
thousands of dollars where they was paying $5 and $10 back then. So,
Next up, Romare Bearden.
oh yeah,
Talk to me about him.
Romare Bearden. I'm gonna go ahead and put him as my number one.
Okay.
Romare Bearden. He's African American, and a lot of people, in a sense, I was actually looking at some information on him, and I'm in a sense just like he was.
How so?
He played sports,
Mm-hmm.
and he was in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Had a dream to go, and actually he was offered to play in the major leagues.
Right. Born right here in Charlotte.
Born in Charlotte,
Mhm.
yep, and when he was asked to play in the major leagues, there was something that that stopped him from doing so, because they told him, hey, if you play in the major league, you just have to be known as being white.
Right.
He was a fair skinned.
He could have passed.
yes.
In some cases, he did.
So he felt the need to. No, I'm not doing that.
Right.
You know, he could have made all this money,
Mm-hmm.
but he turned that down,
Mm-hmm.
and he basically, again, the African American community embraced him. He had
Right.
some mentors, and they continued to push him to do his artwork, and he just poured all his love into that. He poured all his motivation, all his heart, all his soul, and his sole purpose, if you look at his works, was to tell that story.
That's right.
And the struggle and, you know, the strength in the black community.
And he did that in many layers, many dimensions.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't
Oh, yeah.
just, acrylic or,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
one particular piece.
Yeah.
There's lots of texture.
Yeah.
And you feel something.
Yeah.
And, I am guilty of that too. Like I didn't know much about him until I found out about the naming of the park.
Yeah.
And then started to do some research. It's like, wow, that's fascinating, especially the fact that he did turn down an opportunity to be very, 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 very wealthy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But his legacy lives on in his art.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Kara Walker. Oh,
Carol Walker, she is, when I first saw Carol Walker's work, it had a shock value to it.
okay.
Yeah. So
What do you want him to know about Kara?
Kara, she pretty much, again, when you get deep into telling a story with art, you want to it's more political.
Right.
Hers is more political.
And the silhouettes definitely, even though they're
Right.
silhouettes, they're very powerful.
Right.
Very
And
powerful.
I'm trying to think of this one piece that she had, but I think it was made out of, forgive me, but this piece was huge. It was probably like, it was like, made it out of, was it sugar cane? But she made it out of some type of material, but the material that she made it out of was in reference to the black woman. But again, it had shock value. So it really brought across the message.
Right.
So it's like, I'm gonna tell you this message. You can either say, yeah, I'm gonna tell you this message, or you can
Right.
either say,
I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna
tell
tell
y'all
you
finna
this
listen.
message.
Now, you getting ready to hear? I said what I said.
Yeah,
now.
this is it. Like, if you don't know, now you know.
Yeah, she's definitely one you want to Google her. You want to take a look at her work. All of them are very important,
Yeah.
but I wanted to make sure there was a woman in the mix.
Oh,
that
yeah. Oh,
had
yeah.
a very profound and powerful story. Last up, Jean-Michel Basquiat.
Oh man,
I just like saying his name.
Icon.
Jean-Michel
yes,
Basquiat.
Basquiat.
Died way too soon.
Yeah.
At 27, heroin overdose.
Mm-hmm.
Very well. I'll let you tell it.
Well, I mean, Basquiat again. He came up in an era when, man, powerful. We got some powerful people.
We do.
We got some powerful people. Basquiat came up in that era when the business of art in New York was starting to really flourish, or was flourishing at the top. So basically, you know, artists would do their work, You know, they would go to the gallery, have a show. They may have had someone that you know, backed them, you know, as an investor, and then people bought their work,
Right.
and then they went back to the studio, and then they did it again, and then the cycle continued.
Right.
It's a little bit harder these days sometimes, but you know, some artists, they have a full time, and then they steal some time in the wee hours of the morning to do their work. But he was with the icons of Warhol, some of the
Yes.
pop icons and stuff like that. So, and actually, he has the American record, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
For, I think it's 105 million.
His piece, which is untitled,
Mm-hmm.
sold to a Japanese collector for, wait for it, people, $101.5 million.
Yeah. I'm just waiting for that
Oh
collector. Yeah.
my God! Like, and it started at like 60 million, and he
Yeah.
painted in like 87, 88,
Yeah.
something. $101.5
Yeah.
million dollars. So clearly, this gentleman was a billionaire.
Right.
You got 101 million
Right.
to just say, "Yo, this is mine. I'm going home with it."
Yeah.
I had to put it up though, because they're like, "What is worth 101 million?" And it beat Andy Warhol's record.
Right.
That's why it was such a big deal. You didn't really hear about it in the news, maybe a blip here and there, but that's so important because
Right.
Andy Warhol, when you think about, you know, at least acceptable mainstream iconic artist, he's
yeah.
the one with the, you know, the images of celebrities and all of that. Of course, Marilyn Monroe's being a big one, but this was the piece.
Oh yeah.
$101 million, a skull, and it's not even a huge piece. Like, it's a large piece, but it really talked about the experience for
Yeah.
us in America.
Yeah.
You know, with the colors and the shading. I don't know. Maybe that's not what it was, because it never had a title. But when I first saw it, it was like, I see anger. I see so much emotion. I love the fact that it's abstract.
Right.
The eyes are so prominent. You know, it's almost, is it tears? Like, what is it that you're seeing as far as that experience? But it's a skull.
Yeah.
So you don't know if it's a male skull or a female skull, you know, but I just thought that that's incredible.
But one thing I would like to point out about this is, people ask me so many times, they're like, "Oh, your work is so beautiful. I wish I can be an artist." You never know what's what.
Right.
You know, and people buy the artwork, but again, they buy the story, the meaning, and they buy the artist.
Right.
You know, so any artists out there, I always encourage them, hey, continue to do what you're doing.
Right.
It's not about making money. You know, at the end of the day, we would all love as artists to sell a piece for $5,000, $10,000, $50,000, but do what you love.
Right.
You know, and I always tell people, whatever your art is and whatever your talent is, do what you love. The money will come later. And we hear it all the time. It's so simple, simply said, do what you love and the money will come later. But obviously he did what he loved. It wasn't a portrait of anybody that sold for $105 million.
Right. Right.
You know, it was just a collector came along, they loved it, it spoke to him, and he wrote the check.
And he never even put a title to it.
Right.
You know, and you know, he had so much support, and of course, unfortunately, with a lot of artists, you know, once they pass on, then of course the work becomes more valuable. But this is incredible. It's an incredible piece. I want to shift gears, because I picked out 3 pieces that I thought were iconic, but for different reasons.
Okay.
More so because I think it pushed art to the forefront for most black folk to really look at art differently.
Yeah.
What do you think the first one is? Obviously you don't know, but
Man, it's
you want
tough.
to take a guess?
Thousands of pieces
Okay, I'm gonna
out
give you a
here.
hint. I'm gonna give you a hint. 1970s. Not really a hint. Just roll with it. TV show.
Oh,
Come on, Tariq. You got it.
good
Yeah,
times.
okay.
Good times. What's my man name? Look, I'm gonna get a whooping after this
You
show's
are
over.
probably. Wait
Oh,
for it.
long night.
Wait for it. You ready?
It's,
You mean push the button?
I know. Good times.
That everybody thought JJ did it. No, he didn't.
He didn't
It was
do it.
not JJ. But
Eddie, not Eddie.
Yep, close. Begins with the E.
Go ahead and give it to me.
All right. The Sugar Shack.
Right.
by Ernie Banks.
Banks.
Yes, and this is not the original. This is what everybody remembers at the end of Good Time, but this is actually the album cover for whose album? Bet you don't know that because you're young.
Oh man.
It was an
Who is
original album cover. There's some subtle
me guess.
differences.
No, it can't be her. Marvin. No.
Yes,
Marvin Gaye.
you got it. Yeah, because it says Marvin Gaye.
Oh, okay. I ain't see that part.
Most
I ain't
people
see that
don't.
part.
So that's how he changed it, and then he added WSRC, which is a radio station in Durham.
Yeah.
So he made some subtle changes, but this is the actual album cover for I Want You.
That's my hometown.
Yeah.
Durham.
Oh, I know,
Durham,
Bull
North Carolina.
City. Bull
Yep.
City, okay. But everybody saw this at the end of every episode. And so when people started to think, and of course, JJ being an artist and all of that, what I think is particularly, I mean, as a kid, I didn't get it. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. But then when you actually look at it as an adult and the elongated moves and how it shows movement and joy and no inhibitions and things of that nature. Everybody wants a place that's like the Sugar Shack.
Yeah.
Like, where's your spot?
Well,
What's your go-to
we still have
spot?
them these days.
Yeah.
It's the juke joint with the chicken wings
mm-hmm.
and Hennessy.
That's right. Chicken wings, little
It's the hole in the wall.
We got some of those in every city, including Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the spot where you can be yourself.
Oh yeah.
And the music's good. Hopefully the chicken wings are good. If you don't have good
chicken wings always gonna be good.
Not always. I had a bad experience. Won't call them out, but whatever, it happens. But what about this piece speaks to you?
Again, it's the black experience.
Mm-hmm.
They're having a good time.
Except this guy.
It's
You
not
know,
he,
like, why is he like?
Now this is the guy that that he doesn't dance much
at all.
But he looking at all.
He
of
looks
this.
like he's asleep, Tariq. Look, his eyes are closed. He look like he's asleep.
Look at that. That's why you see that right there.
Oh yeah. he been hitting that yak.
It tell the story.
That
See
yak.
right here.
Oh, okay. I missed that.
He slumped over.
Okay. It was a yak. All right.
So it's telling the story. I mean, I love this piece. I have some pieces that tell the story of black folks having a good time.
Mm-hmm.
Whether they're whining and dining or we just got everything.
Yeah.
Rhythm, color, everything. Color in our moves, color in our dance.
Oh, that's beautiful. Say that again.
Everything. So.
Color in our moves. That's deep.
Yeah.
That's deep.
The way we step, everything. The way we dance. And everything's iconic. I just hope our people, dig deep and know that.
Right.
Like, once you're good with who you are, and that's why we always look at acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
Because the world looks at that, and a lot of what we do is, on a higher level, is
Right.
loved.
Mm-hmm.
But then sometimes it's like, but why aren't we loved?
Right.
We're
We're mimicked. We're imitated. Everything about us is imitated. But
and I think that, we have so much tension these days. You know what I mean? There are some people that are trying to bridge the gap.
mm-hmm.
It's so many ways you can go with that topic, but I give credit because a lot of people are not putting up with it these days. Whether you're black, white, whatever, what color or what race you are, a lot of people are trying to bridge the gap.
Right.
You got a lot of interracial couples now, things of that nature. So, hats off, and just going back to some of the art that I do is just about love.
Right.
Just love. You know what I mean? So many times we feed into different things that don't even really matter.
Right.
But
Favorite character?
out of here,
Mm-hmm.
woo. See, I paint a lot of these. Like when you see some of my paintings, you'll see some of the ladies, but this guy right here,
The singer or
it's a between these two right here.
the sax player?
Yeah.
Singer and the sax player?
Yeah, they getting into it. They got a lot of energy.
I just like the dude with the hands that's doing that. I
Oh,
just
yeah.
love that guy. Like, get it.
You think he the star? Is he the star in the story?
I don't know, but that's who I always gravitated to. Like, I just distinctly gravitated to this guy.
Yeah.
Not the women. You would think it would be one of the women, but I just always, because he's the only one. He is getting it.
Yeah.
Like,
He's in it.
what? He is getting it.
Yeah.
That I don't know who that guy is, but that's my dude.
Well,
and
the
it's
way
famous.
his face is,
Right.
he left him. And then
Probably so.
Yeah,
Probably
buddy.
so. So that's the first one. The second one became famous in the 80s on another television show that was bought by a character at an auction.
Come on with it now. I was born in 81 now, so.
Oh, my bad. I forgot. Yeah. Okay. Dang, Tariq. Okay. The Funeral Procession by Ellis Wilson. Cosby Show.
Right.
Remember when Claire bought this at auction?
Yeah.
$11,000. She talked about her Uncle Ellis, and why it was so important. And you remember then she put it, I believe it was, I can't remember if it was over the fireplace or over there, but it was a staple after that
Yeah.
particular episode. When she auctioned, you were probably 5 when that episode came on. But those of us who are older remember when Claire Huxtable bought this particular painting and why it was so important to her. And that his pieces, when I was doing some more research on him, as incredible as they are, they were, I mean, he was selling them for hundreds, like, and they're
Right.
worth tens of thousands now. And what I like about it, even though you would see it all the time in the shows, I bet when you go back, you're going to look at an old Cosby Show episode, but even for it being a funeral procession, you have half the people are in white, which I always thought was fascinating.
Yeah.
And not everybody is in dark colors. I mean, does that mean that they're not mourning? Like, what is it about white? Because normally that can symbolize birth or baptism or anything or something along those lines. What's your take on that?
Again, you can tell story with color.
Mm-hmm.
That can be the celebration sometimes of a
Okay.
person or passing. That may be some of the family members or whoever that person was that passed. But I think that just adds, so many different stories, like, passing over into, another life or,
Right.
celebration. Because, when our folk die, sometimes it's a celebration in there,
Right.
and we always want to celebrate a person for whoever they were. So I think that kind of just leads to say, hey, I want to make a contrast in this color to show a little bit of light and celebration.
And what I like is that could be 2019, perhaps in a rural area. That could be 1819.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a time stamp on it, if you will, as far as the people or as far as even the dress or any of that. But the color is so distinct in terms of black and white. Is it death and sadness, or is it life everlasting?
But see,
depending on how you look at it.
As an artist, I could see more messages
Mm-hmm.
because in here, I was always taught never to use pure black.
Okay.
And if you mix all the colors together, you can get a black.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I always use close to a blue right here. You see these blues right here, giving a little more color in that black.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Last one before we move on to you. This is one that is by Charlie Palmer, and it's called Speak with Confidence. And I tend to gravitate towards images like that are really powerful.
Yeah.
And this isn't an old piece at all, but very much what we have dealt with through generations, and obviously our young black men are dealing with now. Obviously your images of the flag, it being called Speak with Confidence, but how do you do that under the shadow of this?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you have the streaks, the blood, the sadness in the eyes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so powerful. It's so powerful. And, this is what I mean in terms of being able to tell our story.
Yeah.
Because we can talk about police brutality, we can talk about racism, we can talk about systemic racism, we can talk about sexism, we can talk about misogyny, all of those things. But for me specifically, as it relates to the black experience for the black male, especially the young black male,
Yeah.
having been on the bench and having seen what the school to prison pipeline really looks like
Yeah.
in real time, and what it looks like from the bench, and being powerless to really be able to help the way
Yeah.
I wanted to help. I just gotta have to give them the black woman look, like, you sure you want to do this, you know, and hope that they get what I'm saying. Verse, and then coming back to the point of where I am now, being back in private practice. But had you seen this before?
This is actually my first time seeing that piece.
What does it say to you? What
It
is
does. I mean, he's overshadowed by America, you know, and the you know, part of the broken justice system. It's almost like he wants to speak, but he has his mouth closed, you know, and these here are bars, prison bars to me, behind the states.
or Stars and Stripes, or prison bars?
Yeah,
What about in the back?
you can vaguely see. Yeah, I can either see policemen back there.
Yeah, and you see the faces. You see the hint of faces.
Yeah, yeah.
I almost felt like it was ancestors, or, you know, people have come before us.
Right.
And like
they
I
cut-
got like a real
and-
civil rights
Yeah.
almost feel, because when you first look at it, you don't see it, but when you look closer, like there's faces on the end, faces here, even in the middle.
So if you
that are-
want to go a little deeper, and me
Mm-hmm.
reading it as an artist, these are the people that paid the price in blood. Because you can see here, here, and there in red. So this blood is coming down, but they paid the price in blood.
And yet the messages, or the title is Speak with Confidence. And how do
Yeah.
you do that when you have all of that above you, and that you're dealing with and have had to deal with and still deal with? And then you're expected, you know, to have a certain ability to speak with power. I mean, I teach my kids, your voice has power. Your voice has power. But then at the same time, you know, I have to understand, you know, what their story is. And oftentimes it is heartbreaking. It's
Right.
heartbreaking.
Right.
Because you have the expectation to use your voice, but it's not always that simple when you have all of these other things that are in your environment that you're having to deal with.
Right.
You know, what else do you see?
And man, it's deep, because now I'm even seeing the blood, but I see tears in blood. So it's all intertwined. This is a very good and powerful piece. You can get so much from it. I mean, the blue, that could be represented by, you know, the police.
And it's not 50 stars, by the way. I counted them just because I was like, is that really 50 stars? It's not. But it makes the point
Yeah.
that you have the imagery of the flag of Stars and Stripes, but it's not all 50 states represented. Anything else?
That's what I see.
So let's talk about you. Who is Tariq? Who is Tariq Mix? So you followed the instructions, thank you, sir. And I asked you for pictures from childhood to adulthood. And
Which
I'm
ones
not
did you
using them
use?
all yet. Right.
Ooh.
So this is the dun 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 dun. But I picked some for a reason. But I want people to really know who you are. Who you are at your core, and what your story has been and where it's going.
Yeah.
Because you may have, like I said in the very beginning, you took a huge leap of faith, leaving corporate America behind this is your dream.
Yeah.
And you're doing it full time. But we're going to start with baby Tariq.
Ooh.
Ain't him cute? Oh, ain't he cute? Do you remember, have any idea how many months you would have been?
No.
Yeah, not at all.
No.
But thank you for sending it, because,
Yeah.
you know, that is one cute kid. That
Yeah.
really is. What is your first memory? And this is always really tough, but what is the first thing you actually remember from your childhood?
My parents always working to provide for me and my siblings. and just giving us the best experience that they could,
Right.
you know. So down to family time, trips, vacations, down to taking us to school, trying to just show us the right way and keep us on the right path.
What about
So.
this cutie? Oh, isn't him cute?
Yeah.
Now, this was still infancy, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, are you an only child?
No.
How many brothers and sisters?
I have brothers and sisters. I have a brother and a sister that I grew up with, but I more recently found out about 4 other brothers and sisters
Oh,
that I
wow.
had. Yeah, on my biological father's side.
And have you been able to connect with them?
Yeah. The majority of them.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Family picture.
Woo, man.
Yeah, that's your older brother, obviously.
No, this is me.
Oh my God, I thought
Yeah,
that was
come
you.
on
God,
now.
y'all look just alike.
This
That's
is
your
my
baby
this
brother.
is my baby brother.
Now I gotta tell everybody what I said to you when I first saw this picture.
What?
You remember I said, "Dang, it's Big Daddy Kane."
No.
Your daddy look like. Don't he look like Big Daddy Kane though? For real. He looks like. Are you sure there's something you're not telling me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nah.
Yeah, that's your stepdad though, right?
That's my stepdad.
He do look like Big Daddy Kane though.
I
for
told
real.
my mom that when
Yeah.
I gave you the pictures. She started laughing.
So, your younger brother, how what's the age difference?
6 years.
Okay.
Yeah, 6 years.
And how would you describe yourself as a big brother?
I try to lead the way and be a leader, you know, and giving him the best example as I can. And more recently, you know, a lot of times when we're old, we go about, you know, working and working and working and working. So more recently, we kind of reconnected. We talk all the time, but we kind of reconnected to kind of build something, you know, as a family. So he's kind of helping me out with some behind the scenes business projects and stuff. So I just love it, man. You know, it's important to stick together as a family.
That's right.
You know, so.
What about the rest of your mom, your stepdad, with your brother? Where are they now?
Mom is now in South Carolina with me, and my stepdad is in Durham, North Carolina.
Okay.
Yeah.
And your brother is he in South Carolina?
Yeah, he's in
as well?
South Carolina. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about this picture?
Hey.
What was going on here? It looked very official with your tie with the money
Money,
on
baby.
it. What?
Hey, so that
money.
now I don't know if you got that picture. I want everybody to remember that picture,
Right.
Cause I don't know if you got that picture with my daughters on it.
I do.
That's my twin, my
Okay.
oldest. That's my twin. So
Okay.
you'll see the resemblance.
So who this lady?
She's the
Papa,
mayor.
who this woman?
She was the mayor of Durham.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she was the mayor of Durham.
Okay.
And I was part of a program called the Knights at the Round Table,
Okay.
which was part of my high school. We were known as Northern Knights, and so as part of that program, I was able to go meet the mayor and shake her hand.
Was that a big deal?
Oh yeah. I mean, back then as being a kid, and part of being a Knights at the Round Table, I had a 3.4 GPA,
Okay.
which I carried out and ended my college.
You better tell them.
With
Tell the
3.4,
people.
yeah,
Tell
so-
the people. Okay. All right. And this one. How
I
old
sent
were
you that one?
You did.
How'd you get a hold of that one?
You sent
Woo!
it to me.
Hey, look at that. I had a little bit of hair
You
left
had
there.
a little bit of hair.
Yeah.
Oh, your beard was tight.
Oh, I ain't even
too.
had
Wait a
no
minute.
beard.
Is that, yeah, it was tight though. I mean, it was all edged up. Okay.
Hey,
How old were you?
man, let's see. I probably was 28,
Oh, wow.
28.
You were that. You do not
29.
look like you were 28, Tariq, in this picture at all.
That's when
I guess maybe early 20, very early 20s.
Yeah, I was probably around.
This is one of your pieces?
Yes, and
What?
you could see the abstract nature and the influences now.
What was it that you were depicting? What did you want the viewer to, what did you want them to feel?
So this is, you know, a lot of people don't know that I played trumpet for 7 years. So, and then, you know, in college, studying the Harlem Renaissance and things of that nature, and just listening to a lot of jazz music, some of the masters, I always study improvisation.
Okay.
So this was just kind of like capturing a moment of strings, you know, but just giving it a lot of energy, a lot of movement, And again, that those bold lines and color. Again, the fake.
Speaking.
Yeah, I think I did. I
Now,
think
is
I
this
just
now? When
finished
was
that
your
one.
first major piece of art that you feel like that you painted? How old were you?
I would say 19.
And so what? So you were an athlete,
Yeah.
and that's where you felt like you were going. So tell us about how that happened. How did the transition happen to art became what your passion was?
So my college years, I was actually I had a track scholarship, and just trying to make my way. I was a business owner in college.
What kind of business?
Everybody knows the old great prepaid legal.
Uh,
But
still
look,
around.
this is what I can say about that. It made me into who I am today, as far as personal development, leadership skills, having a team of young black individuals who, guys and
Right.
women who we stood together, and we pretty much shaped our futures. Far as mentorship, leadership, and sales skills.
Right.
But I had a lot going for myself at the time, and I really wanted to take track to the next level. But we never know how the higher power, how what the plan is for
Speak
us.
on it.
So
What was your event or events?
I
Track.
ran the 100-meter dash, 200, 4x1, 4x2. They got that scholarship money out of me.
I got you.
But while on track scholarship at Penn Relays, um, I had a heart attack
Oh my God.
at 19 years old. So
Oh my God. You just gonna throw that out there and just okay.
yes,
Wow.
so that's what. And the funny thing about that,
Wow.
the people who were in my heat was David Oliver was actually on my team, who was a Olympian. He won a medal in I think it was Beijing. And Justin Gatlin was in that heat.
Oh wow.
So, but
Oh
run,
my goodness.
yeah, we were running the 4x1. Lance Gross was on the team too. So that
Wow.
all those people was on my 4x1 team.
Wow.
Lance Gross, David Oliver, me, and Andrew Murphy.
Okay.
But basically, after running my leg, my heart went into a fast rhythm, and the doctor said it was 240 heartbeats per minute,
Oh
which
my God.
I learned at that time. But basically, make a long story short, I just went over to the bullpen, and it's thousands of people there. International, Jamaica is there, 50, 60,000 people there. So all my team members was like, man, get up, because back then we like top conditioned athletes.
Right.
Until they knew I wasn't playing. So basically, when I tell you this story, I tell you it was God. So they came down, they got me, went up through to get to the ambulance. While going up to the ambulance, out of all these thousands of people, a cardiologist walks by.
Oh wow.
And he's like, is everything okay? No, this guy's in cardiac arrest. So he opens up his bag, give me 3 shots of medicine.
Oh my God. Look at God.
One of those doses was supposed to make my heart rate go down, but it didn't go down. Got to the ambulance, my stretcher broke down. They switched me on stretchers, got in the ambulance, my ambulance broke down. So I'm
Wow.
waiting in the back of this ambulance for 45 minutes. And the hospital is actually only 2 or 3 blocks down, but because of the traffic, it couldn't get to me. Heart rate still at 240 heartbeats per minute. And I finally get to the emergency room, and it's like eight people running around me, tearing my shirt off, and they getting ready to put the defibrillator on me, and I start struggling, and they're like, well, he's still conscious. Let's just let him calm down. So I fell asleep with the medicine they gave me, woke back up, and my coach was there, Coach Merritt, who passed away. God bless his soul. But he was sitting there, and the doctor came in and was like, we didn't think he was going to make it. And that's when they told me my heart rate was 240 heartbeats per minute. And I'm like ready to get back out there and compete.
Wow.
I'm like, man, when is this going to be over? When can I get back on the track? And then my 4x1 team came in, Lance, Dave, and Andrew, and they came and prayed over me, They flew me back. Well, parents came up, went back to Duke, and that's when I found out that I would never ever be able to run again. So, but through that pain, art came,
Wow.
and that's what got me back to being me. Because you can only imagine mentally what it can do to you at 19 years old.
Right.
And, you know, the doctors are like, well, maybe you should take some time off from school. But I still had that fight in me, and I went and finished. I was like, no, I'm going to go back and finish school. So
Right.
through that, that year is when I knew I was going to start taking art serious. That year I had an art show. That's when I really had to get my spiritual game up. You're broken.
Right.
So when you broken and God says, hey, I'm going to break you down now so you can see. We always go through it. Some people go through the struggle. They complain. They see it as pain. But if you can only just see the bigger picture on it. If you're still breathing, it's a bigger picture.
That's right.
If you're still
You
breathing,
better preach up in here.
then
Yes, sir.
you still have a reason for being here. So I don't know whatever someone's going through, but if you still have breath in your body, you still got a story to tell, and you still have a duty to tell your story.
That's right.
And you know, that's my overall message with that, you know, and being able to come back from that was big for me. But that year, I didn't worry about anything. Now, this is where the love comes in, because the love for art was major.
Right.
And with me having that love for art and really just tapping into my spiritual sense and the higher being, I wasn't worried about anything. I won't worry about no money. I won't worry about, you can't.
Right.
When you broken down like that and everything you love was taken from you, you don't love anything at the time.
Right.
But that one little light and my focus shifted. I had someone speak into my life, and they said people will come to you and they will say we're ready to invest. 2 weeks later, I had a show and it sold out. As a junior, I made $6,000 in college.
Wow.
But guess what? I wasn't thinking about no money.
Right.
It was the universe putting everything in my path to say, hey, keep going this way, right? And that's after that is, you know, it was a wrap. Like, I'm still doing art to this day,
Right.
you know, and a lot of times we're hard headed too. I should have been gone full time, you know.
True.
But with me, every time things came and people come, they still come to this day and say, hey, I want to buy that piece.
Right.
And sometimes you're still in awe. Oh, you want to buy that for $2,500? I was talking about that to an artist the other day, and it was like, sometimes we get surprised because so many people are like, oh, no, I'll think about it. Oh, no. But when that one person comes like, yeah, I'll pay that $5,000. And like, yeah, I'll pay that $5,000 for your art.
Right. Right. Yeah.
But yeah, that's that story in a sense.
So talk to us about this piece.
That was a part of a project that I did for someone. But when I did the piece, I always put my love into it. And I always want the message to come across. I didn't want it to just be a portrait.
Right.
But as you can see the civil rights movement here. And you see the unity with the lines and how they're in lock. They're locked all the way through here. But you got people with different shades of color, you know. There's some women in there, men, women, all together. And then you still have Dr. King still as a leader. And, of course, with him passing away, he's still, like, big, the
Larger
big
than
picture.
life.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when did you do this piece? How old were you?
Actually, I did that piece about 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Did you sell it, or do you still have it?
I still have it.
You're not gonna sell it?
It's for sale.
Oh, okay. We're gonna come to that.
Everything for sale.
All righty then. On that note, moving on. What about this piece? Now it's hard to see from the screen, but it looks like there's texture here.
Yes.
So what's explain to us what the medium is?
So this is acrylic too as well. But I've always wanted to do florals and landscape, but I wanted to do it in my style. But this piece was for me. I wanted to get back because a lot of times as artists we get a lot of commissions, and sometimes we can get bogged down mentally because it's like you want to get back to what you want to do.
Right.
It's like being a kid doing your homework, but you want to go outside and play basketball, right? So yes, we do love doing the commission, but this was me just going back to being a kid. You know, being free with the work and really engaging in lines and texture. And this is actually a pretty large piece, but this one is called Golden Rose. I really love this piece.
What about this one?
Wow, this was a transition piece for me. 2014.
Okay.
You know, this was at a time I, you know, went through a separation and whatnot, but and just, you know, kind of feeling everything and the emotion. I always wanted to do news, but I wanted to represent the black female or females in a sense of power. So with this piece, it was actually for domestic violence, but a lot of people who collect it, they collect it for all. They see their own message in it.
Okay.
But it tells a story because through everything, she's clenching the ribbon. That's for strength. I painted that for strength. She's holding herself for self-preservation and care.
That's beautiful.
And then she's still holding her head high. She's crying through all of it, but she's holding her head high. You know, and the roses are crying in the background. But this piece is large. It's like 68 by 40, pretty big, and I wanted it to tell a story. It's one of my most powerful pieces.
What's it called?
It's called Violet Rise.
And is this available to, like as a print?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, the original still. I held on to that original. The
Okay.
original's still there.
Yeah. Is that for sale too?
Yeah, it's for sale. Everything's for sale.
What about this one? Because this is one of the signature things that you do, your heartbeat collection.
Right.
So what was the motivation?
So my heartbeats. I wanted each one of my collectors to have something small because a lot of my pieces are large. So, but with this piece, they're heartbeats. So my heart beats on, and and I wanted to give a little bit of love, spread the love around.
Right.
So, you know, there's a lot of art or hearts out there that's, you know, artwork, but mine has a lot of meaning for me.
Are all of them unique?
Yeah, each one of them are different.
Okay.
Each one of them, and I have I'm actually on number 75 now.
Wow.
So my collectors really connect with these. I've had some of my collectors, their kids had, you know, heart surgery at a certain age. They put them in their rooms.
Right.
Some collectors collect them like candy pieces. They got about 5 or 6 of them around the house, but just my way of spreading love in a smaller way.
So it's very textured. Like, what's the texture here?
That's a secret.
Oh, you're not gonna tell us?
Yeah, it's a secret.
Oh.
No, I'm just playing.
No. So,
It's acrylic medium.
okay.
All of it is acrylic.
So
medium.
all that's acrylic? Like, has that much texture?
Yeah,
Get out of here.
let's call it acrylic.
Okay.
All of it's acrylic.
Wow. And that's obviously attached to the canvas.
Yeah, yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Okay. I just always figured, okay, this is like paper mache. Like, what is that?
Like
Like,
paper mache.
I don't even know what that. I don't mean to be insulted. I was like,
Hey,
I don't know.
if I said that was paper mache, it'd be a lot of mad collectors out there right now. Like, hold on, let me pull this back, see what's under here.
But they're all different, obviously.
Yeah.
And so my favorite is this picture.
Ah, yeah.
And I posted this on my IG because this is when I asked you to do a piece for me.
Yeah.
And what I said at the time, and I just said, just do it.
Yeah.
You know, and I wanted a piece because I had just become a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Ooh.
Uh-oh.
And mom was a Delta.
Yeah.
And I'm a legacy. And so I just wanted something to show our connection because she's passed away and she couldn't be there.
Yeah.
Like I knew she was there,
Yeah.
but she couldn't be there. And something that symbolized, like, if she was there, what would it be like if she was still here? So you sent me, this is the finished, but I remember when you sent me the first draft.
Yeah.
And I was like, my mama's skin don't look like that. Like, I was complaining about it because I sent you pictures of her, but I had no idea what you were going to come up with. Like,
Yeah.
not a clue. I didn't give you any direction or any of that. And then the second rendering, I don't know if that's the proper term, but the second rendering or what you showed me was like the development of that part.
Yeah.
And then when you showed me like just the picture, I remember specifically, and this is why I think art is so powerful. I was laying in bed, alarm goes off, roll over, go cut the alarm off, and for some reason I go swipe, and see my messages, and I see it, and I'm just laying in the bed. Oh my God, I was boohoo ugly crying. Oh my God. It just took my breath away.
Yeah.
Like, it legitimately took my breath away. And I didn't even, there's things that I still see in it now
Yeah.
that are so much more significant to me that I didn't even catch. I was just so taken aback by just the immediate imagery of her in white, me in red, the
Yeah.
elephants, the feeling of protection, the intertwined arms, all
Yeah.
of that. And so the final piece was this,
Yeah.
and then you picked out the frame
Yeah.
and all of that, and I called it. I remember when you had me name it. I was like, I didn't know. I was like, wait, I'm supposed to come up with a name. Like, I assumed that you would, like, you
Yeah.
would name it, but came up with Destined Legacy.
Yeah.
So I remember you telling me there was something about this piece that there were some new things that you had never painted before, images that you hadn't done
Yeah.
before. So tell us about that.
Well, that's the one thing that I love about doing artwork for my collectors is they never tell me exactly what they want.
Right.
So I get again, we're going back to the story.
Mm-hmm.
When we first talked about the story.
Right.
So I'm always motivated to, go above and beyond. But everything has a tell story because I did the red or crimson, excuse me.
Right.
Excuse
Crimson, sir.
me. Crimson. For your color, but again, like we looked at that picture back when earlier for the show, she's in white. And that's again the light just representing her passing, but she's glowing, and again, just that care, intertwined care, and the power. Now you have power back here, and stability with these two elephants back here. But I've never painted elephants.
Ever?
Never.
Wow.
Never painted elephants. And the bench was an intimate moment here. And then you could see that bright light shining down on you two guys, coming down through here. So
what really struck me was that the hats. That was such a big deal because, that just didn't even resonate with me until like after you left. I was like, oh my God, because my mother loved hats.
now see, that's that universal connection.
Yeah, loved
'Cause
hats.
I would've never
Church
known
hats,
that.
all that.
Yeah.
Hats. Her hat collection was phenomenal,
Yeah.
and that was one of the things I wanted to make sure that I had. Like, when I won't wear a hat unless it's hers.
Yeah.
And there's one in particular that's really powerful for me because, like, even now I can still, and maybe it's in my mind, I don't know, I still smell her
Yeah.
when I put it on. I just feel better. It's just real simple hat, but I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
How do you know that she loved hats? You could have done anything with that.
Yeah.
And just how you have us looking at each other, but you don't see our eyes, but there's an unspoken communication there between the two of us. And I think the only reason why I didn't boohoo ugly cry when you bought it is because I actually had a chance to
You
see
had
it
your
before.
time,
Like, if you
yeah.
would just unveil that in my office,
Oh.
I would have been on the floor.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm no bullshit. Ooh,
Yeah.
oh, wait, yeah, I can cuss. But no, like, I would have been on the floor.
Yeah.
Like, I literally was like laying in the bed just crying. And I didn't even take a good close look at it because it just took my breath away.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
I thank you for that. And when I posted it on social media, particularly on one of the pages for Sorrows, they just loved it. And
Yeah.
like, where can I get it? Where can I get it? Where can I get it? Remember you asked me, it's like, nope, that's mine. There can never be another.
That's a masterpiece. I
It
poured
is.
a lot of time into that piece.
And it was apparent. And
Yeah.
I've had people ask, are you sure he won't make a print? Absolutely not. No, they can do something else. You can do something
Oh
similar.
man,
But yeah, I know I didn't cut your coins, but no, because I could, because
it's
what that
it's
means for me may
it's
not
okay.
mean something for somebody else,
Yeah.
and that piece will never ever be
Well, you got a one.
printed.
You got a one and only.
Right. So no, y'all can't have that. But it's just beautiful because it really just it speaks to the connection that, you know, we have when we lose someone that's very close to
Yeah,
us.
yeah.
And with my mom, it was very specific. Both my parents have passed, but it was very specific with her when I went through the process of just feeling sometimes a sense of sadness because I couldn't talk to her and she wasn't there.
Yeah.
But this just gave me, it just gave me life. And so I thank you for that. So, and you do commission work
Yes,
often. So
yes.
they just have to reach out to you. We'll get to that in just a second before we get our painting lesson.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so last thing, this is in my house. And I really wanted to use this piece. It's pencil. And honestly, I have no idea who the artist is. It was given to me as a gift from an ex, and I got it framed. And when I got it framed, it was in my office before I became a judge.
Yeah.
And it was in the reception area. And I always thought, God, I don't want to offend folk. It might make white people mad. Honestly, I'm just being real talk.
Yeah.
Because it says there's so much going on here.
Yeah.
Talking about the justice, but just us system, the judge itself, how the judge looks so disinterested. Obviously, police officer could be male, but obviously it's female.
Yeah.
You got a with a noose. And then you have young brother who is trying to get away, another young brother trying to help him, young brother who is with money in his hand, pointing at obviously somebody who's already incarcerated. And then you got hands that are glowing, and like, who is that person? Like, who does that represent? And so it was in my office for years.
Yeah.
But the big question I had to decide was when I became a judge, do I take this piece to my office? And I was like, hell yeah, I'm putting it in my office and I want people to see it when they come in. And then I thought about it, and I almost had an argument with my cousin. I was like, girl, she was like, don't do it, don't do it. I was like, because I was ready, because I was
Yeah.
taking all my other artwork, and she was like, no, don't do it, don't do it. I was like, no, I really am, because this is reality.
Yeah.
This is reality for what I saw as a judge on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And that got for me, and I chose not to. Only reason why I chose not to, because I wanted to remind myself in my own private space,
Yeah. Yeah.
like how this image still makes me feel.
Right.
Because walking into the courtroom and I see a black face, it literally got to the point, Tariq, probably about 6 months in. I just, I would come in, sit down, and I wouldn't even scan the audience. Normally, I would scan the audience,
Yeah.
just out of human nature, but I just stopped doing that because I felt the depression.
Yeah.
Like, rarely would you see anybody that didn't look like me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then whether it was, and sometimes worse, if I was in family court, I don't want to go off on a rant, but in family court, if I see, black folks that are representing themselves and they're not in any position to do it effectively because they just don't know. You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
But this is so incredibly powerful because you would expect that the officer was male, but when you take a look at it again, officer's not. It's a woman with a noose.
Right.
Like,
right.
with a noose, you know what I mean? And then that's the end game. But then you see the help. You see the I don't give a, I don't give a attitude.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to cuss too much. It's like first time I cussed on a podcast. And then, the brother behind him, stereotypical. I don't know. But you see anger, and he's so much larger than everybody else there, but is he really?
Yeah.
Like what does that mean? And then you see hands that aren't attached to anyone, but then you see, like I said, the glow around it. So don't know the artist, don't know the name, but this is something that I think speaks to what we're dealing with now, and it's timeless.
Yeah.
I mean, this could be 1800s, it could be 2019, and the imagery is still the same. As a black man, what do you see?
This got 100 messages in it. 'Cause what I mean, I see the reckoning factor here,
Mm-hmm.
but with this young boy right here, he's basically saying, "Do you want to be like them?"
Mm-hmm.
Kind of giving them a message.
Right.
And when he said, "Do you want to be like him?" Them is like so many different examples. You know, you got this brother right here. He's like, "Man, I'm gonna pay this money and get out of this." You know, but it's a continuing cycle. Um, but then again, he's already seen this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so now he's kind of turning him around to see, hey, do you want to be like everybody else? Now these hands back here, I couldn't tell you what that is.
Mm.
That's a mystery to me.
I always saw it as there's another way,
Yeah,
but you got to get there. You know, this is where they're leading you, but there's another
come
way
back. Yeah, come back this
that
way.
you
Yeah,
can. This doesn't have to be your destiny.
yeah,
It doesn't have to be your destiny, but you got to get back there. Even if you've gotten to the front of the line with this disinterested white male judge,
hmm,
there's still an option to get out of it.
yeah,
If I was a judge,
yeah.
it
yeah.
really did. Like, this kept me in check, and I don't know if I had kept it in my office if it would have had the same effect. Like, I would have really cared less if my white counterparts had an issue with it, whatever,
Yeah.
because this is our reality.
Yeah.
You know, this is the reality of what we deal with in a system that was based on systemic racism with a pipeline. I'm going to get on a rant. I'm not going to do that. But, you know, that's the point of how art speaks to our experience. And we have to have these conversations about, is this real? Is this reality?
Yeah.
And absolutely it is. So that's one of my favorites. So now we move on to, we're gonna skip all that because now it's art time.
Woo.
Let's get it. So this is where you gonna teach me. What you gonna teach me? I don't even know. We ain't even talk about this, y'all. So whatever's getting ready to happen here on this iPad screen, we just gonna roll with it.
Okay.
So what we getting ready to do? So this is Sketchpad. So am I doing abstract? What am I doing? What's going on? What are we doing?
I'm gonna let you be creative.
I
so
don't do that, Tariq. There was supposed to be a lesson. Don't do me like that, cause I don't know what are we doing.
So, I mean, that's how I create art. So we just
Okay.
talked about it, right?
Oh gosh, this is too much.
But I want you to be able to tell a story in your own way.
Right, but okay.
So let's see here.
Tell me what to draw. I'm gonna draw it, and I'm gonna be good at it.
Let's see here. What can we do
Fix
here?
it.
So what's something that you would like to draw?
That's not a lesson, Tariq. Help me.
Do you want to draw a figure?
I want
You
to
want
do
to do a
something
landscape?
because I want to do something abstract because you do contemporary work.
Yeah,
so
I do
want to
abstract
something
work.
different. Yeah.
So I mean, I could. This is a pretty intricate program here. Let me see if I can get this thing working here.
Oh, your pen's not on. See, I'm the tech nerd.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's go. Okay.
There we go.
All right.
All
and
right.
we go back that way.
And we got your famous color in there.
Of course.
So, all right. So I want you to draw what it means to be Delta.
Okay.
But
We
the
just
first
gonna
thing,
go
first
hard
thing,
in the paint out the gate.
the
Okay,
first thing
first of
we-
all,
first-
I can't use that. I can't use this brush.
yeah. What we're gonna do is we're gonna do an outline sketch first, okay?
Okay.
And we used to do what's called a quick sketch. So I'm gonna go over here, grab a darker color, and then
That's way too thick. Okay.
let's see. We're gonna go down here. That's the flow. There we go. So a quick sketch is gonna be something like this.
This is a lot of pressure. I thought you were gonna like walk me.
Yeah, I'm gonna walk you
and
through
teach me something.
But we
I
do-
gotta just draw this on my own.
yeah, we're gonna do a quick sketch.
Okay. What in the world?
And then we'll fill it in. So I'm just kind of giving you an idea of what a quick sketch would be. And this is just how I do, because I really don't, see now, you ever seen that meme with that cake,
Which cake?
the Delta cake?
No.
You ever see?
Oh, when she was all raggedy and leaning to the side. It was an abomination. of all things
Forgive
Delta.
me. Forgive me, but this is a quick sketch.
Well, yeah, that is
All
not
right, so-
okay. So yeah, I'm ready now. We can go back. Okay, let's get rid of all
All right.
that. Yeah.
But then we'll go back on top of it with color and stuff like that.
Okay, what is it? Dang. Okay, what does it mean to be a Delta?
It don't have to be perfect. I mean, for time's sake.
Real quick.
Okay, so Steve said, "Hurry up." All right. um. Okay, why is it not? Fix it. You got another show.
Why did it do that? There you go.
Okay. All right. All right. So we're gonna start with the basics at the bottom. Okay. Wow, this is really hard with this thing. Okay. Okay, no.
Remember, this is your expression. So if you want to put that and let it just be words, and then we paint some color in the back, then you can do that too as well.
Okay.
Look at
This
you.
pen is
Okay.
tripping. Oh my God, I can't make.
Don't press in on it.
Okay, don't do
Yeah,
that.
just glide. There you go. Shoot, look at that.
Wait, it's like deleting my stuff. Okay.
Okay.
It's supposed to be eyeballs. I'm trying to put an eyeball there, but we gonna.
You know, I don't have eyeballs in mine. It ain't in my paintings. Okay.
No, I mean, my sorrow is gonna be judging the heck out of me, but I'm gonna just need everybody. To,
It's abstract.
I know, but okay. So those are lips. Okay. All right. Cause they call me the pyramid police. So I'm gonna put some shoulders in here. Uh-uh. I don't know.
Let me come around that way.
Yeah, help your girl out.
Okay. Hold up now. You got it.
So that's our mid, but we gotta put some fingers in here. I promise these are.
Keep that part right there, and then move to the next side.
Okay.
There you go.
Oh.
Let me help you out.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, cause I'm trying to. It's like
Nah.
if I'm mid, like.
That's good.
No, it's not. But you gonna make me feel better about myself. Okay. Okay. Oh, you give me some tatas? Yes, honey. You better give me them tatas.
There you go. Now we can go in here real quick.
Mm-hmm.
And let's do a spray.
Oh my God, this is jazzy. Okay.
Oh shoot.
Oh, we gotta go.
Let's see. Put that skirt back on. And then we can do in the background. Let's go over here. We can oh. There you go. There you go.
Okay. So this is my. Oh, okay, that's dope. Okay. So we gonna put some color
you put
in
some
it.
layers in there.
All right. And you gonna color in because we can't just be
There you go.
naked tatas. Okay. All right. All right. And so. All right, and
Put
then
some red in there, cause that's her stomach.
in the middle.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Now I got to go back and
We
because
good.
this will be all brown.
Yeah,
Or brown,
that'd be
or hints of brown. Okay. Let me get there,
Alright, let's do this.
and we're gonna have to wrap it up.
Where's the brown? Let's put some of that ivory in the back.
Let me at least tighten up my Delta Sigma Theta at the bottom. I mean, okay. Let me now. How do I get back to this? Like,
The lines.
yeah.
This one right here. Yep. There you
Okay. Oh, change the color.
go. Mm-hmm.
Go back.
That black down. I grab some of that black down.
Okay.
There you go. There you go. This will be your first quick sketch. Conceptualizing.
I like it.
And then just go over there and put your signature on it. That's a true Basquiat. Hey, starting auction at
We go
starting bid
auction
at $1,000.
Right. Amen. That ain't bad. It is, but
There
you know where I was
Go on,
going
put your
with down
signature
here.
on
Oh
the
wait,
bottom
hold
there.
up. Let me do that with Define. With the pen.
Yeah, there
Yes,
it is.
sir.
There it is.
We will
There it
take
is.
it. We will take it. Okay, so starting bid, $12,000.
Yep.
I take PayPal. It'll be fine. All right, so what's coming soon? Because we got to wrap it up, unfortunately. Now,
Ooh.
you've been fabulous. But what's coming soon? So we know, well, people may not know, you've left corporate
Yeah.
America. You are
Yeah.
out on your own,
Yep.
doing your thing.
Yep.
Yes.
So,
So what's next?
basically, I have some shows coming
Oh, you
up.
can leave it up, Steve. My art is awesome. I can keep it moving. Okay.
Actually, I'll be at the Maya Angelou luncheon
On here
this weekend.
in Charlotte.
Yep, in Charlotte.
Okay, y'all come see him.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Oprah is going to be the keynote speaker there.
Mhm.
I have some shows, a big show coming up in the spring. So follow me on tmix_art, tmix_art, TMIX_art
Okay.
on Instagram, and tmixart on Facebook. That's where I put all my updates. But
Okay.
I got a lot of shows coming up.
Okay.
If you haven't been to a Dime Paint and Sip brunch edition, you definitely want to come to that.
Okay. What's your website?
The website is www.tmixstudios.com.
Okay.
And man, I got some major pieces coming out.
And you're on Facebook?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook.
Just Tariq Mix. Are you all
I'm
followed?
5,000. But if you go,
Oh, okay.
if you can either hit follow, or if you go to
They can.
T-Mix Art, the business page, you can
Okay.
follow me there.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Steve, can we get back to that screen, to my screen for a second? Okay. So very quickly, the so part is where I ask very specific questions. Can't think about it. Go.
Uh-huh.
If you had to be shipwrecked on a deserted island, but all of your human needs, food and water, were taken care of, what 2 items would you want to have with you?
2 items.
2 items. You can food, water. You're good. What 2 items?
I
would
need
you-
to have a woman, a counterpart.
Okay. I ain't
Hey.
right.
Hey, and then all the other items I need is right there on that woman, so I'm good. We can make it work.
Just a woman.
Yeah, just a woman. That's all.
Okay.
Oh, and my paintbrushes and canvas.
Okay.
Yeah, I gotta have that.
All right. Paintbrushes and canvas. All right. What do you do when a baby just stares at you in public?
I'm a baby whisperer.
Okay.
I have 3 daughters, so
Okay.
I love kids. Every kid I come across, I speak to them.
Okay.
And even when I was working in corporate America, some of the kids would come back and say my name, and the parents would be, surprised. But I love kids.
And you have 3 daughters. I
Yeah.
thought I had that picture in here. And how old are they?
We're about to have a 13-year-old and 10 and 9.
Okay. All daddy's girls.
Yep.
Of course. All right. What is the funniest thing that you've witnessed recently?
Ooh, funniest thing I witnessed recently? Oh, I look at funny stuff on Instagram all day long.
Okay. Like live, like not on social media.
Live?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I saw this woman fall.
No, we can't do that.
No, I gotta tell it. And it was it was after our board retreat. Travis, if he's watching, we were leaving, and it was shocking. It wasn't funny at the time because when she fell, it was like I've never seen a person fall in slow motion and that dramatically, because we didn't know what she was falling over. She was just walking, and it was just contorted, and oh
That's
my
bad.
God, and then like she came out of her came out of her shoe, and everybody was like, everybody was like, oh my God, like it almost looked like somebody pushed her, like invisible.
So y'all made sure she was fine
Yeah,
first before
so
you started laughing, right?
Right. So like we were like, oh my God. And then we all walk over there, you okay? She's like, oh, I'm just embarrassed. And we were like, yeah, because what did she fall over? She was
Yeah.
just walking. Like,
Yeah.
there was nothing.
Man.
And we got down the street. And it was just like, I've never seen anything like that. You know how you see people fall, like,
Yeah.
you know, dramatically, but it was dramatic. Okay, we got to hurry up. All right. If you were a Marvel or DC Comics character, who would you be and why?
Ooh. Dang. Let's see. Wolverine.
Why?
Wolverine, he a beast.
He is.
Yeah, when he get at it, he get at it.
Okay.
Ain't no plans. It's go
and he
time.
regenerates.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then he's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, he ain't never had
Hurt-
no woman though.
Hurt like hell though.
He ain't really have a woman.
He
though,
got them
Tariq.
claws.
But he ain't really have a woman.
Well, I don't know how much
Right.
we can get deeper.
Okay, we're not gonna do that. Okay. 'Cause- yeah. Okay. We're gonna roll with that. And if you could choose one song to play every time you walked into a room for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh, dang, so many of them.
One.
Oh. I couldn't even tell you that, man.
No, you gotta give
got
me
me
one.
stuck on that one.
One song.
Ooh, my mind's going crazy right now.
What's your
probably
jam?
a Jay-Z song.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of which one from his first album. Presidents to Represent Me.
Okay.
That one was the one I listened to a lot.
That's one of
Yeah.
your go-tos.
Yeah.
And I see you're a Panthers fan.
Oh, yes.
Right. And so just real quick shout out to the other shows on the network. If you're not following them, please do. The Project, the Deluxe Podcast Show, Unapologetically Black, The Slant, The Situation, and a new show was just 2 new shows, Frankly Speaking and Crafted, have been added to the Square Media Network family. So definitely, if you've not checked those out, make sure you do. Our next show, y'all, is coming from London. Because
Oh,
your
wow.
girl is going to London for the Panthers game.
Wow.
The 2-2 is taking over London. And doing the podcast that evening with the time zone difference. Right now it's 3 p.m. We might have to adjust it because there's a 6-hour time difference. But it'll be post-game recap and some other people. So we are incredibly excited about that. And then the once we get finished with the 2-2 takeover on the 13th, our next show is going to be incredibly dope. And then it features Demi Day. She is a female MC living currently in Winston-Salem. Reminds you of Moni Love. Reminds you of that era of female MCs that were very clear, very crisp, very
Dope.
motivational. She's got a super dope story. She'll be here live from Winston on October the 24th at 7 o'clock. And we're going to be talking about, be our second installation on the evolution of hip hop from a female's perspective, talking about ladies first, how hip hop has treated women and how women have embraced and love hip hop. So if you haven't done so already, make sure you have subscribed, like us, follow us on YouTube, Square Media Network, of course on Facebook at The Conversation with Yolanda Trotman, and of course on Instagram at The Conversation_pod show. Tariq, thank you so much. You were amazing.
Thank you for having me.
And if you don't know who he is, make sure that you are following him. If you are interested in art, make sure that you reach out to him. It's tmix_art on Instagram, Tariq Mix on Facebook. The website one more time.
www.tmixstudios.com.
Make sure you check him out and understand, y'all. The story of the Black experience is through art. Well, whatever medium it is that you dig, make sure that you support it because it tells our experience in such a unique and fantastic way, and it is truly the heart of it all. Y'all have a good night, everybody. You gotta put my picture back up, Steve.